lot of the talk going into the bye was about the first half struggles. Did you identify anything during the week off that you think has led to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said a few weeks ago, I mean, it's just been a lack of execution. I mean, we've averaged 7 plays, I think, over the last 4 games in the first quarter, and obviously that's meaning we're not moving the chains. When you only have 7 plays, you're only going to have so many yards unless you get the big ones. We haven't gotten that. The main part has just been those little subtle execution deals. And it's been across the board. It's been me not putting these guys in a great position with some of the play calls, and then across the board, just guys not executing at the level that they're capable of, that they show once we kind of get in the rhythm of the game.
Mike, Belichick's numbers against rookie quarterbacks are
very high.
What's the challenge of trying to, when you have a young guy like Zach to, I mean, I'm sure you learned some things last month,
right?
Which you're not going to divulge, of course.
Right.
But, when you look at those numbers, is it a little bit daunting? And can it be daunting if you let it be a little bit? Yeah,
I mean, the numbers, they don't lie, and you see them whether you overly talk about them or not. It doesn't really matter. They're going to see them. I think for them is, again, it just kind of goes back to us. It goes back to him as a quarterback. It goes back to us as a unit. We got to worry about ourselves first, particularly with where we're at, on offense right now. The whole thing is just execution. Execute one play at a time. Don't worry about our slow starts over the first 5 weeks. You just come in here, just get the first play done right, and then get the second play done right, and everyone just handle their 1/11th with it, and it'll take care of itself. To answer your question, with Coach Belichick, I mean, he's phenomenal. His track record, it speaks. He's, in my opinion, the best ever, and it shows every single week they go out there. So a lot of respect for him, but again, it's going to come down to us.
With this being the first opponent Zach sees twice, will you be looking for certain bars to show improvement? Yeah,
I mean, it's always fun playing a team a second time because, they've seen you, you've seen them. There's stuff that, whether it worked or not in the first game, you kind of want to run again, but you also know that they know that. So there's so many changes on both sides, and there's going to be at some point in the game, there's going to be something that's very similar from either a defense or offense perspective, and it's going to be, cool to watch him, on the sideline or in that moment, kind of dive back into that week 2 and hopefully learn from whatever happened and, go from there.
I know this is really obvious, and I get that, but the idea of the 4 interceptions the first time, I would guess progress in that regard would be first on your list, but also something that could give a young quarterback more confidence.
Yeah, I mean, the 4 interceptions, I mean, obviously that happened, and, we want those back, and I want to put him in a better position right from the get-go to make sure that doesn't happen. But, again, it's just going to, we're not talking about the 4 interceptions. We're not talking about 3, 2, 1, whatever. We're just talking about executing a play, whatever it's called, whether I call a good one or a bad one. When I call a bad one, the whole theme is just don't make my bad play worse, and that's across the board. That was the same thing we did in San Francisco. It's the same thing they do in Green Bay. You just try not to make a bad play worse. And we'll go from there.
Mike, to the naked eye in that game, it looked like Josh on the other side of the ball was asking Zach. There was a lot more short throws,
right?
Just maybe a little more high percentage stuff. And it looked like you guys were doing, running your offense and trying to get the ball down the field and whatnot. When you look back on that, do you think maybe he was asked to do a little too much? And is there some element of trying to simplify?
Sure. No, certainly. Anytime you see someone struggle, whether it's the quarterback, the running back, or whoever it is, I always go back to myself and what I'm asking them to do. And if they're struggling, they're basically telling me right there in the moment or on film that, hey, this is too much, and I'm not understanding. And so we either have to go back and, like I've said before, we have to either word it better, or I just have to flat out put them in better situations. Not to divulge what kind of what our game plan is, but regardless if we were pushing down the field or it was short, there was struggles there, and again, I put that on myself.
I just wanted to follow because it goes along with that. Zach's quarter by quarter, his pass attempts in the first quarter are so much longer than the other 3 quarters. In fact, I think he's right at the top of the league.
Yeah.
Average pass length in the first quarter. Why is that? And secondly, wouldn't it make more sense to concentrate on shorter, safer completions to get him into a confident rhythm?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you always want to get a guy in rhythm, but you also have to taken into account what the defense has given you. There's certain defenses out there that we've played that they don't necessarily give you all those short throws. When we played Carolina, and I know it kind of happened more so in the second quarter, but they were a zone drop team, and we were able to get some quick completions. And some of the other teams that we've played, particularly earlier, they were not giving us maybe those easier completions. Again, I put it on myself to find a way to get him in that rhythm, to find those easy completions and get him into the rhythm so that, as we've seen, once he gets going and once he gets playing, good stuff starts to happen.
When we talk about struggles, 12 personnel, Zach has struggled in that group, in that 12 personnel grouping. 11, when it comes to passing, he's more efficient, has more touchdowns in that group. So what's the balance between, obviously, still trying to run the offense,
Sure,
do 12, but knowing that Zach just plays better in 11?
Yeah, no, there's a definite balance there, because the moment you get into 11, obviously you space it out, but you lose, some of your offense. And what is your offense? Your offense is whatever, the guys you got and whatever you can execute, and you worked at that. You're always going to have a foundation with it. Obviously, we saw that too with over the bye week, and not even just the numbers, but just some of the success that he was having to the naked eye, and then the numbers kind of backed it up. At the same time, we don't want to just live in one world. We want to be balanced. We're still building this thing. It's a long way to go. We're five games into our first year with it, and I think we were probably pretty heavy in 21 with Juice in San Francisco in 17, and we kind of stuck that way and started 0-9 for a lot of factors, and it kind of built as we went, and we stuck to the foundation with it, but also tweaking to win each and every week and put our best, put our guys in a position to be successful.
Well, you look at this offense in other places, including San Francisco or with your brother in Green Bay or Tennessee last year, the tight end has always been kind of prominent. You got a really great one in San Francisco. It hasn't happened here through 5 games. What are you not getting out of the tight end position right now?
Well, first of all, I don't think I'm giving them a lot of opportunities, so, it's not like they're out there dropping balls and stuff like that, and we're, keep on trying to go at them, Every tight end room I've been around has a unique skill set, and you try to, match your offense with what they can do, I think they've done a good job in certain aspects of this offense. Certainly we can be better at all positions, and certainly I can be, put them in a position to be a little bit more successful.
When you were in San Francisco, you guys had Debo for a couple years there when you were there,
Right.
and you, at least kind of from watching from afar, it was kind of cool in the ways that you guys used him, because you saw him split wide, you see him in the slide, you saw him in the backfield, you saw him all over the place.
Sure.
When you guys drafted Elijah, he had a similar, maybe not as big, but he had a similar skill set to Debo. Is that something you'd like to do moving forward here, is use Elijah in some of those different ways as opposed to just outside guy?
Totally. Again, Elijah is a unique dude that he can do a lot of those same things. Debo, the one thing I want to say, and you said it, Debo's really big. Like, Debo's 220 pounds, and he can handle that running back type load. Elijah's not that big, he's a smaller guy, and to overly use him in the backfield and have to play in between the tackles is not necessarily the greatest thing in the world. Along with that, Debo, and I can't speak in terms of statistics, he didn't get going until the back half of that year in terms of how we were using him. Early in the year, no doubt I can picture one in Tampa. I think he got 3 yards on the little outside zone that we tossed to him versus Tampa that we thought should have went bigger. Anyway, but it took time for Debo, and at the same time when we had Debo in 19, we put him all at X, and he learned X. Right, wrong, or indifferent, we moved Elijah around, and what you guys were seeing in OTAs, but obviously in training camp, was he was playing X, he was playing Z, he was playing some F, but a lot of the big plays that he was making were down the field. He has a real knack for being able to see the ball, sight the ball, and make some great adjustments down the field, and that's where a lot of the plays were made. But again, to answer your question, he's unique that we can use him in a lot of ways, but he's much smaller than Debo.
Hold on. We got Kaz, DJ, Kim, and Andy.
Kaz.
I think I'm lead off here.
Yep. Come on, Kaz.
It's because of my speed they're picking me. Judon. What?
Set the table.
Judon, 6.5 sacks
Sure.
this season. What are you seeing from him?
He's a talent. He fits what they do. He's a talented dude. He's always been that way. Played him in Baltimore in 19, so I always knew about him. When they picked him up, it was you never want to see great edge guys. Especially in your division. He's talented. We got to account for him everywhere they're at. But again, what Bill and them do there, it's where they're at, but they're always going to be in different spots, and that's what's so unique about what they do, and that's why they're so hard to go against.
Next.
Obviously, the Patriots, they run a lot of man coverage, and last game, the whole offense, from a passing standpoint, struggled with that concept. So what do you guys have to do? What do you have to do to put them in position to overcome, whenever they go heavy man?
Yeah, no, we gotta put them in the positions to beat man coverage. I mean, it's really as simple as that. Every guy has a unique skill set and what their route tree can be. How one guy beats man coverage can be totally different than the next guy, right? But at the same time, some of those routes that you may or may not, or that you may be good at, doesn't necessarily go well against the defense that you're going to do. They're going to have a lot of pluggers on the inside right there. They know that, and they somewhat force you to hold on to the ball a little bit longer. And again, I got to find ways to get the ball out of his hands. So it's a unique little deal for him, because you want to get the ball out of a rookie quarterback's hands, but at the same time, you want to give our receivers a chance to beat man to man.
So how do you get more out of Elijah? In training camp, I thought the guy was gonna be a walk-in for offensive rookie of the year. He looked so good. How do you get more out of him starting Sunday?
Yeah, Elijah's time's going to come. It will. And it's like I just spoke on Debo. He really broke off in the second half. I don't know if that's going to happen with Elijah. What I do know with Elijah is the kid is unique. He's extremely smart. He's very versatile. He's an absolute great kid, and he comes out and works every single day. There's so many guys that I could go down this list right now that you want to get going. We haven't had the amount of plays to get going yet, and we've certainly talked about the first half struggles, the first quarter struggles, where we're averaging 7 plays over the last 4 games. So it's hard to get anyone going at that point, because we want to run the ball, we want to get guys the ball. Like, you got to get plays to get that going. So it's my job to make sure that gets going.
What do you say to the idea, though, that Crowder is blocking Elijah from playing his best position, which would be the slot?
Well, I think Jamison he's a unique talent too. He has done really well in the league for a lot of years. And what I thought was pretty cool about when we took Elijah and then brought in Corey and Keelan and having Denzel, and we got a good receiver room. We got a very good receiver room. We got a good problem, in my opinion, where I want to get all these guys the ball, but there's only one ball, and we want to run the ball. And then there's tight end. There's a lot of different things going on right there. Again, it's going to come down to the amount of plays we get. We thought it was cool to have Jamison, a guy that's been a veteran in the slot, that can play in the slot, but also Elijah's going to play in the slot too a little bit. He might not be at the F position, but that's our offense. We can mix and match anywhere. But again, I just don't think we've seen enough plays where we can totally showcase everyone what they can do.
And with the scripted plays early in the game, that's usually when you'd like to see some success. How much did you look at that during the bye week? And then for you as a first-time offensive coordinator, what's the balance like determining how long to stick with the script, when to scrap it? Just how are you feeling?
No, there's a total balance, because you have the script, and it's. We have 24 plays, and it can go in any different order. And sometimes when you're flowing, you're just letting it roll. And then when you're not, or they give you a different defensive adjustment that you weren't expecting, then you got to flip the script right away. So there's a lot of things that can go into the opening script. We looked at it hard. I looked at myself hard to figure out again how we can get this offense jump start, how we can get Zach going where he feels real comfortable, like he has kind of after that first quarter. So over the bye week, I gave it to my wife. I said, you pick the opening script and we'll roll from there. So.
Good way to end it.